we actually get started, by listening to the affirmation that even in his current state of incarceration, he's still using female messengers to convey the message to our people so we can be properly prepared. Now, the first thing, anytime anybody asks me about the case, I bring to their awareness, I say, did you realize that here we are 6 years after the trial took place, that you and I, we could not go down to a courtroom and get a transcript of the trial? You may or may not be aware of that. That's public record. And you and I have every right to be able to see what was going on with that trial. It was also in a closed courtroom. And even after 8 years of him being incarcerated, on May 8th of 2002, and I happened to be there on the land when it was a record number of FBI agents, a record number of police officials that descended on 404 Sadedale Road, where we had erecting an Egyptian village. If you were to ever look at it from an aerial view, you would see that we were replicating a star formation based on the pyramids that was in our ancient culture. And because he was able to get a lot of people, and they were able to calculate the number of people that he was able to influence based on the computer, on the internet, this was a man that had to have been reckoned with. Wu-Nuwaupu was the fastest movement, and still is the fastest movement based on the information, based on Judaism, Christianity, Islam, all the religions. And he had to have been dealt with. He had to have been put away. And these are some of the things that he had prophesied that was going to happen to him. That when we reach a certain level of awareness, the source of that has to be dealt with. We have to get rid of him. So these are things that on paper that we're still fighting. We've run the whole gambit of the legal court system, the federal court system, based on the 2255. We've run the whole gambit of that. But on paper, he's free. Just a month ago, we descended on Washington, D.C., in front of the Capitol, 8 years after his incarceration, and we were still going to the elected officials outside of the judiciary system of the government, to the federal branch of the government, to lobby that there was major violations that was done. And one that was very blatant was they had court open on a federal holiday. This is one of the rules. Rules are rules. It should not have been broken. But if they're going to break a rule that simple, to have the court open on Dr. Martin Luther King's birthday, then what are some of the other rules that was violated during that time? These are the things that we have put forth, and the biases of the judge, and these are the things that are on the table right now. Now, there's a new petition that we're asking you to sign, and this is for a medical transfer. There was a petition that's on Congress right now that we have signed, that's on their desk right now, to be able to look at the case, to be able to see the injustices that was done. All right, now enough of that about the case, because basically we're still having to fight. We have DVDs that are free, of no charge, for anybody that wants to know about the case. It's basically an award-winning documentary that gives you an overview and a step-by-step of our version of the story in terms of what took place, because the Montel Williams is not going to tell the truth. Right? Dr. Phil's not going to tell the truth. Any of the major media outlets, they're not going to tell the truth of what took place of a leader, a teacher, a spiritual God that is uplifting you. You may have disagreed with one of the things that he had to teach. Why? Because he has to step on your toes. When you knew him as Imam Isa, we was in Al-Islam, only to show the fallacies that exist within the religion. But we're not going to be able to badger nobody. We don't want to badger anybody. What we want to do is to bring to your awareness this afternoon of some of the major things that he has been continually teaching us, even in his incarceration. And one of the main things is that's going to affect us based on the position of the planet Earth in its revolution of location. And that is, according to the Gregorian calendar, December the 21st at 3 a.m. of 2012. That is going to dramatically affect people on the planet Earth. But who would it affect the most? it's going to affect females, black women in particular. The nature in itself, the position of the celestial bodies, is causing the female to be elevated, just based on the energy from the galactical center. Now, these are things that we were much aware of when we knew the science of Wu-Nuwaupu. We refer to, you're Nuwaupians, but you don't know that. Nuwaupians is the name that we refer to ourselves as, not the name that other people, when they came to other places, because we are indigenous. We're sovereign to every land on the planet Earth. We're older than the sun, the moon, and the stars. You are a spiritual being that's in prison called the physical body. And there's a point in time where these spiritual forces from the universe will activate the latent centers of energy that be activated from you, from your ancestors. But you have to be brought to a state of awareness to be able to accept these energies. And where to be on the universe at that point in time. So we have to deal with existence. We have to deal with the awareness of the female is God, not the male. Sorry to step on y'all brothers' toes. So none of the sisters should be a playhater of the master teacher, His Excellency Malachi Kobina York. None of y'all. Because he's the one that is the liberator of females. And it goes so deep, this plot is so deep, and we're going to talk about it later on, that it deals with something that was in religion based on the circumcision. The circumcision, the female circumcision and the male circumcision, was done as a plot for us to be food for the gods. But we're going to get into that a little later. We're going to talk about the awareness of time right now. Let me just talk about that for a moment. When we talk about the lost records of time, the way to be able to calculate the position that the earth is in and the influence that we would have on the various celestial bodies. We all see that the pyramids of Giza, they're lined up strategically. The same effect of the Orion star constellation, where we refer to it as Seven Hats. The Orion star constellation. Now we accepted as fact at one point that when we die, which is really when we were given life, you're really dead now. Right? When you dream, the dream is real. You're really dead now. This is not even real. Right? But we accepted as fact that once we die, that we're calling death, which is really life, that we would ascend from earth and go through the gateway called the Orion, what the Greeks referred to as El Nalem, El Natak, and Mentakos. That's the three, but we refer to it in ancient Tamare, or I should say Tayamayore, that you may know as Kemet, you may know as Egypt. But where it's positioned there, we refer to it as the Ketra. The Ketra was the transformational point, and it was represented by a scarab beetle, a man with a scarab. And this was done because the scarab would push the dung and the larvae. And this was representative of the sun that was pushed into its proper positions in the sky. Whether it was the undifferentiated point of Atum-Re, when the sun appears to rise at dawn, when it's at its unique point of the Atum-Re, and where it's at its hidden point of Amun-Re. These were the points that we would take time out of our day. We don't do it anymore. But we would take time out of our day and attune ourselves with nature. We forgot how to do that because we lost our connection with the celestial bodies and how those celestial bodies had an influence on us. Now there's a cycle that occurs every 12 hours, and we call that daytime. There's a cycle that occurs every 12 hours, we call that nighttime. But we should not really refer to it as night, it should be referred to as the shadow hour. Why? Because if we say nighttime, night implies that it's the absence of light, and the sun is always shining. We have to understand that, especially as black people, because there's a state of darkness. Light is the chaos. Light blinds. But there's a state of darkness that we would have to be aware of. Now, one of the great teachers that came on the scene